Online sex scandals, the proliferation of nude videos or sex tapes, collective sex sins recorded and shared on social media platforms have dominated public discussions in Cameroon in recent weeks. Who is responsible and why? We are also asking why moral values are sidelined by men and women who drive such sins from private consumption to the public square. How can families be protected and how can communities protect their children? These and more will be discussed on today's edition of Press Hour on CRTV. I am Moki Edwin Kinzeka in Yaoundé, and our guests are Emily Miki, gender activist and child protection officer working with the Dennis Miki Foundation in Limbe in the Southwest region. Madam, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Edwin.
We also have Ebenezer Kanga, who is senior journalist with CRTV. Ebenezer, you're welcome to the show.
Thanks, Edwin. It's a great pleasure to be on the set today.
And we have Nelson Tawe, who I don't need to introduce. He's known by so many people out here. Information technologist. Nelson, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Edwin. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here once more.
To set the ball rolling, let's meet Emmanuela Vemnyoy, who has a summary of what newspapers reported during the week.
Pressmen were at it again as always, dishing out news reports to feed the curiosity of their readers. The new passport version production center in Yaoundé goes operational in the Herald Tribune, and immediately the Post announces that the Directorate General of National Security has delivered first biometric passports in 24 hours. Cameroon Insider rejoices on its effectiveness henceforth within 48 hours. Cameroon Tribune is also gladdened by the availability of these first biometric passports in Cameroon, especially as the Guardian Post talks of the first applicants that have already received their biometric passports within 48 hours. The Sun then rolls out the first 3 biometric passports produced. Land issues in Cameroon then come under spotlight. Land grabbers are said to be in trouble as National Assembly convenes special session on land matters in the Star. As trade-off, parliamentarians demand reform of the 1974 Land Act in Cameroon Insider. Cameroon Tribune gives reasons why this change is important, saying lots of ills are plaguing the sector like land grabbing at the detriment of locals, exclusion of socially vulnerable persons from land matters and conflicts. Then Minister sweats in Parliament as MPs decry alarming land dispute in the Guardian Post. And MPs maintain ABIEC should decentralize land litigation management in the Sun. The new National Communication Council president then chairs first session in Yaoundé in the Reporter and vows to educate, sensitize and sanction in the Post newspaper. And with no waste of time, Team Joe starts tough in Cameroon Insider, sanctions 3 journalists for unethical practices in the Post Weekender, what he was charged to tackle during his installation in the Star, especially as the NCC chair says the state is working to give the council full authority in Cameroon Tribune, just when newspaper publishers are told to respect law on deposit of copies in the Eden. At a time COVID-19 vaccination is described as a do-or-die act in Cameroon Insider, mass vaccination against the killer disease begins in Cameroon Tribune before auditors condemn the 1 billion CFA francs wastage on hastily dismantled treatment centers of COVID in the Post newspaper. Obscene videos on social media, a damaging phenomenon, is reported in Cameroon Tribune just when crises in the northwest and southwest regions continue to make victims. Suspected Amber fighters killed GC examiner and a Nigerian woman in Kumba in the Guardian Post. Angry mob reportedly destroys security checkpoint for killing civilian in Bamenda in the Star. And immediately Defense Minister reacts to killing of civilian in Bamenda, associates him with separatists in the Herald Tribune. But irate population confronts military over killing of civilian in the Guardian Post, just when rights groups call for international action against human rights violation in Cameroon in the Eden. The security situation of the Northwest and Southwest is explained to La Francophonie in the Post, before ex-Amba General accuses military of plotting to eliminate him in the Guardian Post and threatens to expose top officials using the conflict to enrich themselves. And diaspora Ambazonian warlord Ebenezer Kwanga resigns in the Herald Tribune. Let's now end our press review with this report in the Star newspaper on the statistics of 10 most indebted African countries to China, with Angola topping the list according to the 2020 international debt statistics produced by the World Bank Group. Cameroon is ranked 7th with about $5.5 billion owed to China. As the Star puts it, it was, however, revealed that recent talks are ongoing for China to cancel the debt Cameroon owes. But until then, the debt of $5.5 billion Cameroon owes to China stands. Until I come your way again, this is your Hour with the Press.
Thanks very much, Emanuela. We are waiting for you again next week. Now, gentlemen, let's start by reacting to what we heard Emanuela there review that newspaper reported during the week. But I will start with you, Ebenezer Akanga. When another name was raised there, which resembles your name, I say, but unfortunately, a warlord.
Ebenezer Akanga. You know, I'm going to receive a punch or a bullet one day in this country because of that name. He's called Ebenezer Akanga. I'm called Ebenezer Akanga. And incidentally, we come from the same village. Yes, we come from the same village from Bichati in the Wabane subdivision.
Do you know him personally?
Yes, very, very personally. I'm happy to hear that he has resigned. I hope he's becoming less radical this time around. He's coming back to his right senses, because he has been a thorn to the flesh of this country. With the news that he has resigned, I hope he's coming back to his right senses.
That's one issue. What are the other issues?
The other issue that caught my attention was the biometric passports, which are issued within 48 hours. You know, the mafia that used to surround the production and issuing of passports in this country, the corruption that used to go with it, and the difficulties Cameroonians had obtaining passports. Now, we are told that with biometric passports, in just 48 hours, you get your passport. The only wish I have is that this should last. It should not only be done the very first day and then next week, next month, people start facing the same difficulties. Let it last. We pray that it should last. But if not, it's a very good thing.
And Madam, you also followed Emanuela there.
Yes, I quite followed Emanuela, and one thing that actually caught my attention was the land disputes, the land grabbers issues, because I'm actually facing that challenge in Limbe right now. Limbe is a town where there's a lot of land dispute cases.
You mean as it was discussed at the National Assembly?
Yes, because they're trying to revise the laws.
Okay.
And that is because there are a lot of land disputes, and because of this whole situation of land grabbers, people picking up other people's lands. It's very, very practical in Limbe, and especially with state lands. I'm actually fighting a case for my father's land, so it's really something I've witnessed, and I know how the corrupt situation it is, especially when you have to fight with chiefs, authority leaders, opinion leaders. It becomes a power struggle. In the case I've had many people tell me the stronger solution swallows the smaller solution. So it's a fight of power, of who has what to bring on the table. So
you
for
think
those
that
who are less privileged,
they're not protected.
They are not protected by the law.
Okay, fair. Nelson Tawe.
Yeah, coincidentally, one of the issues mentioned was what we are discussing today: the proliferation of nudes on the social media, and generally because social media is just a little component of the internet. So there is a lot more. It is enlarged. It is kind of magnified on social media because most people get connected to the internet because of social media. But we have websites, and we are not talking about the websites. We are not talking about how much of that kind of data is driven on websites. We're only talking about social media, and I think that we should get out of just social media and expand. Get to websites.
Do we have a problem with such video on websites besides social media?
Of course, because there are people who take videos of others and without their consent make them available on websites and not necessarily the social media. So we luckily, I think we're going to get to that. We have structures that can follow up, that can actually try to identify these kind of websites and call them to order. I think when the time comes, we will talk about.
You're just taking us there to the first topic we have there. Talk about these nude sex videos and how they are on social media and so on. That's the first topic of our discussion today. Talking about the first topic, I insist, is on nude and sex videos and understanding the threat to the society now. What are some of these Ebenezer Kangana you've observed, you've seen, you've heard of in social media of recent?
I should say, Adrian, that we have reached the abyss. We have reached the deepest level of the pit as far as this issue of nude videos is concerned. It's becoming very, very disturbing, and it shows the level of decadence of our society. It's extremely embarrassing and difficult to understand what is happening to Cameroonians. Why will people be posting nude videos, sex videos on social media? It's very, very embarrassing, I did say, and we saw that of some students of government bilingual high school Crise, and then we had that of one of the colleagues in Douala, and then one very, very embarrassing one was that of a lady who was caught after stealing a telephone in the Komkana neighborhood here in Yaoundé. She was stripped naked, filmed, and posted on the social media. It's very difficult to explain why people will do that type of thing. And then we have this one of collective sex, which came from Douala. It's real madness that is going on the social media.
Yeah, Madam, you've observed also, what are some of these things you've seen that we should share for people to understand that this type of practices are not good?
I will want to continue with what he just said, because there's also that which is done by intimate sex partners, like boyfriends, girlfriends, sex relationship partners, people who are in relationships. They use it to blackmail their friends or their ex or those whom they were in previous relationships with. And that's a situation too that is gender-based violence, because it's online sexual harassment. We have seen cases of young girls sending out nudes of their boyfriends because they had issues or they were quarreling. We have seen issues of boys sending out nudes of their friends or girlfriends because of those kind of issues. We also have situations of hackers hacking into people's phones. And with the way technology is fast growing, people are now aware that we need to protect ourselves, because you never know who will do what to you. Which is why I always say that during programs that even when you're on your own, don't film yourself and think no one has access to your phone. Hackers hack into everyone's phone. They try to hack into everyone's device.
We'll get into that. But why should a boy film what is supposed to be a private part and share with a girl, even if they're friends?
I honestly do not know why, because the reason why some people do it is for fun or because of distant relationships. You know, with the way relationships are ongoing now, either the boyfriend is out of Cameroon and the girl is here, and to keep the relationship, the partner has to film her parts to ensure that her partner is still with her even over distance. And this is all wrong. I always say that to show love to someone, you don't need to sell yourself. Because it's not correct for you to sell your private parts, because it's like you don't have value of yourself. I believe morals have actually gone beyond now, where we're grown up to say that you should not wear dresses that expose you, but now it's a normal phenomenon to have young people walk around almost naked. In the sense that they're trying to be in fashion, they have to be trendy. That's the words they say. Slay. I always say slay positively. Slay in your education. Slay in the things that you do that bring value. Don't slay to be someone that does not bring value.
That's good.
Yeah.
Let's go to Nelson now. You have seen some of these. Maybe you can add to what you've heard, and then
yes, I like the way Mickey puts it. She says slay in your education, slay in other things, but don't only slay in exposing yourself. I think there is a lot more to what the Ebenezer and Mickey have said. We have examples that abound in schools, and the children actually what they do is they try to get into an unhealthy competition. One, parents who buy expensive equipment for their students, for their children who are in schools. Of course, they hide these equipments, and by the time they sit in little groups, they start using them, and they start by, what is the resolution of your camera? I have a high resolution, I have a quad cam, I have this, I have that, I have a high resolution. So and then before you know it, they start getting into filming themselves, and we get to that. So there are lots of examples of such things which have gone really astray. And I was just going to say that besides the schools, we have even individuals who do that in their bedrooms. I have asked myself the question, I've asked many people 8,001 times, how many of those pictures do you end up printing? Why do you keep them? You end up, when your phone or your handheld equipment is saturated, you start deleting them. So actually they end up not serving you. Listen, one day when you lose your phone, it is not only for hackers, as Mickey said, it also has to do with losing your equipment. You can drop it anywhere. You don't know who picks it. You can get into a cyber cafe, send your pictures, you don't know, without signing out of your platform, you don't know who will come next, and you don't know what they can do with the pictures that you have just made available on your platform. So there are lots and lots of examples that abound, and I think that we're here to cry out for people to be able to be a little more responsible in exactly what they do.
Ebenezer, why would somebody decide to share his or her video, or decide to share a video of collective sex having happened?
That is a very difficult question to answer, Edwin. I think it is the evolving times, but evolving negatively, because when we were growing up, we knew that your private part is for you, and maybe your partner. It's not meant to be exposed to the public, but it's extremely embarrassing what is happening nowadays, that somebody will film his private part and put it in the social media. It's extremely difficult to explain why people do those type of things. Is it sheer madness, or what is happening to our society nowadays? No, I think it's just a question of moral decadence. It's a question of moral decadence. The morals are decaying in society, and then secondly, too, it's also a question of impunity, because those who do these things go unpunished. To the best of my knowledge, the law on cyber security and cyber criminality previews sanctions for those who do those type of things. But because they are not punished, they think they can continue doing it. And like the example I took a short while ago, the most scandalous example is one which people will strip a lady naked for stealing a phone, film her, and put her and expose her nakedness on the social media. No, the last information I got was that those who committed the act have been arrested. I hope that is true, and I hope they'll be punished, and the police should be made to understand that those who did that thing have been punished, so that it should dissuade people from continuing with those type of acts.
Now, the other one had to do with a group of people in Douala who organized a sex party. I saw the video. There were actually so many of them there, and apparently the videos were shared by the forces of law and order who went there to bring peace. I mean, to bring order, some sort of order in the game. Madam, what is your reaction to that type of situation? It means that even the forces are not educated to know what they're supposed to do.
I actually just want to cue in there and say, for real, I don't know if because ignorance is not allowed. Ignorance of the law is not a reason for that to have been done. The forces of order would have had a good case for indecency, which is punishable by the law, maybe. But just using the wrong procedure kills the case, because no one is permitted to send out the nude of another. Because with technology now, we have seen other situations where people sent it on their own without realizing. We have stories of that, of our celebrities who were doing their things and did not know they were on their status or stuff, and it went viral. But in a case where you actually do that and send it out without consent, it's punishable by the law. Just like mentioned, the law on cyber criminality punishes anyone who does that, because the use of social media is not for bullying. Cyberbullying is a crime. Protection online is very important. And particularly to me, when I saw this case, I actually had to speak out on my Facebook page. I spoke with colleagues, and we have actually been working as a coalition with CAUPEM, Women for Global Fund Advocates in Cameroon, to send out press statements, to send out press releases to condemn this kind of action, because it is not correct for those whom we trust to bring order to instead be the bad examples. Because this is a practical situation where young people who have thought of this, or who did not even think of doing it, just viewing that if police officers or forces of order or the gendarmerie are doing things like this, then I have a right to do it.
But somebody said it can. that act should also be dissuasive. When the police show it, the people were ashamed, and other people know that if you do that, the police will also take and share. And then
it's a good point to write a statement as a law of enforcing official to condemn it, but it is not allowed to send out the videos. So if they had gone by law flagrant delito and met them doing their sex party, it's against the law. They'll apprehend them and then send out a communique that this was done but there's no video attached. It's a public statement. But sending out these videos of them is against their human rights. Because they have a right to privacy.
How was the police informed that such a party was?
It's a good question. It's a good question, Edwin. They have all sorts of techniques looking for information, trying to infiltrate in order to see exactly what is happening, which is good. But they spoiled it, as Madam said, they spoiled their case by sending, and it comes back to what I was saying. There is a very, very high rate of illiteracy, ICT illiteracy in our community. I'm not trying to run down our forces of law and order, but if you look at the high-level ones, maybe they're informed. Some old ones are already phasing out, and I'm not sure that they would even know what to do. But these young ones who don't know anything, who have been schooled to keep law and order, don't know anything about information technology. So they make those videos and think that they are doing themselves good and think that it's being dissuasive. But I bet you they were supposed to have read the law to see what the law says about publishing private data that has to do with. You could do that and mask the faces of those who were involved. That is different. But when you see an officer actually telling them, pass this way, take your addresses, do this and that, giving instructions.
What if were an error?
No, it wouldn't be an error because I think that even in the video, I followed it, I watched it. Somebody said, "On va vous filmer," and somebody is crying, "Ne mettez pas sur le net," which means that the guys actually knew what they were doing. I followed the video, and somewhere one of them is hiding his face and saying, "Don't make available these pictures on the internet." So I think it was intentionally done. And I also hear that those involved, I mean the military guys, some of them have, I don't know, maybe it would be good, as Ebenezer said, that when these people are punished or the perpetrators of such acts are punished, let the public know that they have been published, so that punished, so that it could be effectively dissuasive.
Now, you're an information technologist, and in one of the cases involving a journalist, his friend with whom they were together said it was by mistake that he shared the videos. How possible is it for somebody who is conscious of the fact that this thing we're doing is dangerous?
And for a professional,
or can it be some sort of settings cause?
It could be a wrong manipulation of your equipment. Like I always say, I publish information online. The technique with publishing is if you have a platform on which you can publish, make sure that the moment you press publish, go to the front office, because what you're doing in the back office is visible to you. That is when you collect the data, you model the data, and you are ready to publish. It remains only within your phone. It remains within your equipment. Now, when you press publish, it means that you're making it available to the public. There is that passage from the back office to the front office, which becomes public, ready for public consumption. Now, if you do that at any moment, make sure that you also go to the front office to see what the public is seeing. It is very important. You cannot publish information without, except maybe like we suspect it was by error. That means he pressed the publish button without noticing it.
And if you go to the front office, is it possible for you to
Yes. On some platforms, for instance, on WhatsApp, you have up to 7 minutes. You can delete whatever you publish on WhatsApp within 7 minutes. On websites, it's even better. You can pull it off. On your Facebook page, you can pull it off. But the problem now is that the information goes really, really fast, because there are people who do screen captures, you remember that we have been victims of that at some point. People do screen captures of publications and then they start sharing them, which means that you no longer would be able to kill the story. But it is possible to take it off your website.
We shall get to the solutions, but let's look at the consequences of this type of act to individuals, to communities, and to the image of a nation, Ebenezer.
The consequences are very, very grave. They are grave very, very serious, first and foremost to individuals, then to the society as a whole. First to individuals, it kills the morals of individuals. In fact, it helps to bring down morals of individuals. It helps to they go a long way to show the level of decay of our society. And then another consequence, and a very serious one, is that children who watch these things tend to imitate them. Exactly. They tend to imitate them. It's very, very dangerous what those who do these type of things are doing, because children who watch these things tend to imitate them. They think it's a good thing they are doing, and tomorrow they too will be tempted to do it, and so we'll find it continuing in society. So the consequences are very, very serious. It is something that has to be stopped using all the means provided by the law. I did say that the law on cyber security and cyber criminality punishes these type of acts, and that the courts too should play their role. The magistrates and the judges should not only wait for people to sue to come and to sue, they should also pick up some of these things when they are reported in the newspapers. I can't understand why our own judges see this type of things and nobody reacts. Everybody says, no, our judges should be able to pick up some of these things, even when nobody has sued. They should be able to pick up some of these things and try them in court, sentence them, make the sanctions known to the public, so that we should correct our society.
Seriously, maybe the judges are taking action without making it public. So let's assume that something is being done. So what can be the consequences, Millie, making for our society?
First, to our society, it's already giving us a very bad image, especially when it concerns violation of human rights, because violation of human rights is done when it's done by state officials. And take, for instance, forces of orders as state officials. And when that is done, it means that our law or our systems are not properly strong. That's an indication. At the level of the local community, the youths, the children we are bringing up, they get to hear all these conversations. When we sit and do this, they see them. Already it's a bad image. Growing up knowing that this can happen or this can be done already gives us a very wrong vision for our tomorrow. And also the shame, the mental health challenges that it brings on the victims, the depression. It also goes against the law of damaging images, because once you do that, you kill someone's image and reputation. You defame the person, and this is wrong because the person grows up with another knowledge of who they are. Some situations that we can have is maybe if someone was trying it for the first time and this happened, the next minute is, oh, it's already happened, I become maybe now a full-time prostitute, a sex worker, I become a full-time sex trafficker. So it has a lot of enormous images on the community, and it keeps now parents from leaving their children to use social media. I've had a lot of conversations when I do work on digital rights where a lot of my friends will ask me, so should we allow our children to use social media, to use internet? Because of all of these ills, the good part of the internet is not being seen, rather it's the negative that is being shown. Why? Because there is a lot of positive things that we can gain from the use of the internet. We can do research, we can get jobs, we can work using the internet, we can do businesses, e-commerce. But now, because what is being portrayed is the negative part, the cyberbullying parts, the images that are coming from the cyber or the internet, it already kills the use of the internet.
Okay, I think we shall come back to it, but next thing we shall hold on, because I know you shall be giving us a lot of lessons on how to protect children, protect communities from this.
Okay.
But this issue of nude sex, tape sex and videos online, our CTV Central Newsroom here in Balatu has been covering it. If Somoso went finding out why these online crimes, if we call them crimes in quote, are going on, and what the law says about them. Let's have this report by Eve Somoso.
A flourishing string of sex tapes on the honey corners of internet have lips curled in disgust. From porn frenzy to social porn, the trend seems to normalize sharing sex lives and explicit content online for reasons hard to comprehend.
There is a market out there that needs just such pictures. Somebody actually takes those pictures using a mobile phone. Some applications, if you just click, it is gone. And some other people do it actually to prove a case. Probably he has been abused somewhere for not being sexually active.
The line between porn and social media is beginning to blur. Porn revenge and sextortion falls in picture.
We used to take pleasure watching pornographic films or playing pornography, but it's not readily available now. It's like a new culture that is developing around that.
Cameroon's penal code punishes public indecency and publication of obscene images in section 265.
We talk about public indecency. The law makes provision for 15 days to 2 years imprisonment, 10,000 francs to 200,000 francs. In the presence of a minor, it is double.
Society's moral is questioned here. Much more those who post their stinky beat tango online. In between morality and law, there is a fine thread of social responsibility.
Our second part of discussion today will be on online prostitution and trafficking and how children can be spared or saved from this new time of crime online that's going on. We've been joined by Ati Larissa, who is founder of Youth Internet Morals. It's a non-governmental organization that works to inculcate positive values while using the internet on the youth. Larissa, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Moki.
You came a bit late.
Yes, I had a little issue on the road, a little accident, but I'm fine. I'm happy to be here so we can create change and try to contribute to the growth of the nation.
I wanted to contribute. You've also observed all of this going on in social media. How are the youths, the young ones, the children affected?
Okay, this is a very crucial issue because our vision as Youth Internet and Morals, we have a vision to educate the youth and the teenagers on the dangers of networking sites, all the dangers, pornography, online sexual harassment, scamming, cyberbullying. And we go to schools, we organize seminars, conferences, and I'll tell you that one very big reason is ignorance. Like these children, when I stand in front of a child and I tell this child, don't feel ashamed, like I've gone through it. Because there's a law which states that if you want someone to open up to you, tell the person you've been through that. And I was so shocked that a child tells me, these guys told me that this porn I'm acting, my parents won't see it and they give me 10,000 francs. And I was shocked. These are realities. Like, we definitely don't disclose their names because the aim is not to destroy their image. The aim is to make sure that they can be coveted from what they do before. So the cost is real. It's not like we just say it on social media. People think it's just we are doing a lot of talking, but I bet you if you talk one-on-one with these children, you'll be shocked. We also do personal follow-up programs, and you see a child tells you, I met this white online, and he's promising me this, and it brought us to a case where you were like, you see students, young people just sit and they disappear. And you see our TV post their pictures, they're looking for this person, of which that person actually met someone online. It takes us now to the issue of child trafficking. It's really a serious issue and there is negative peer influence. So I tell parents that the only way out for this thing is to educate the children, because you can't take this child out of the internet world. You can't. If you don't buy a phone to your child, rest assured, his or her friend is going to give him that phone. Yeah. And also, you can't limit. It's difficult to limit because we have WhatsApp. We have negative influence on WhatsApp. So the best thing is to educate them. Let them see the realities. Like some of them think when they talk about trafficking, sex abroad, it's just a joke. But you see someone now telling me, hey, auntie, I'm so sorry, I met this guy and he told me that he's going to get married. A girl of 16 years. And you're like, you drop out of school.
Let's get one thing. You met the guy online and the guy is promising to get married to you.
Yes, that's like, youths always like posting their pictures. We have Instagram. Those are really the happening sites nowadays. Yes, and they're like, okay, and the guys always put fake profile, of which is a very old person. He appears with a very young, beside a very beautiful car, a beautiful house, and the girls start building castles in the air. And that is one thing we need to know, that the dream they give them, it's because they are not aware. And she told me, Mommy is never there for me. No one tells me about it. I don't know.
That is now who is responsible.
You're
bringing the parents to it.
Yes.
Let's come to you now. Yes. Like, back to you. I can't just go. Let's give opportunity to ladies. The ladies do it. Yeah. Listen to you.
Okay, so I want to cue in a lot with what she said about give the children these things and teach them how to use it. Let me use a practical example with me. I am a single mother. I have a daughter of 6. Her first phone that she had, I think she was 4 years old.
Did you buy the phone for her?
Her father actually bought the phone for her. She used it and it got back. Yes, she's very smart. She's even doing computer classes now. She knows how to use the computer. She's on YouTube. But I've trained her on what she can do and what she cannot do. But if I did not train her with the way she's smart, she would come to my phone and go to the places that I don't want her to, because she's on my phone. She knows how to unlock my phone, and she knows, and I see my history and knows what she looks for. And I always used to ask her, how do you even find these particular things that I've told you to watch? Because you should fall on anything. But she's always on her Barbies, her dance music. So she's always on YouTube. She knows how to use the internet because I've taught her that. And even at the age of 6, I started doing her sex education. I told her, you're 6 years old. Nobody should talk to you about this.
Hold on a minute, they'll come back to you. Mr. Kanga, you have children. At the age of 6, there's only sex education. What would you be telling your child who is 6 years old about?
To tell you the truth, Edwin, I have a girl who is 17 years old today. And honestly speaking, I've not had the courage to talk sex education. I don't just know how to start that about it with my daughter. I leave it to her mother.
That is what many people are doing. So let's hear that from you. That's a lot of that's a feeling
that many people have, and that's what we need to be able to go against. Because now we have cases of rape of 1 year old. We have cases of rape. We handle cases like that. You see cases of 3 years old child being raped, but no one had told that child about that possibility. If the child was informed, the child would have really informed the carer, because there's a way that this is done. It's not usually just rape open-handedly. It's usually through things. Oh, come, let me give you sweets. Come and take biscuits. That's how they do it. It starts like my uncle, my friend.
That's when it's physical.
Yes.
But online.
Now, when it's online as well, for instance, Facebook has privacy laws where you cannot be 6 and have a Facebook account. You can, so there's an age limit to own those accounts. But when it gets to online platforms, just like she said about building
listen, you cannot be 6 and own a Facebook account.
Is
there someone to verify? Do you give a copy of a
That is where the problem is. That is where the problem is, because as an individual, as a user, you can sit. The guy with the control mechanisms do not have a kind of a technique to measure your age. So I can declare that I'm 25, even though I am 6, and I still get away with it. So
how would you, the parents who are blamed now, how would you be protecting your child? Are there some sites you can prohibit your children on?
I don't know.
And if you did, how would you follow up to see that it is not?
There is parental control. There are parental control mechanisms on all of these platforms. Sometimes Facebook is very, very smart. It has what they call bots. It has scripts that are hidden that follow your kind of conversation, and they can be able to determine whether you are a child or not. And they can also determine whether there is harassment from the other side. So there are scripts that are on the line that are running in the background of Facebook, and they can easily pick out those things. And so to me, what parents should do is teach them, tell them what is good, tell them what is bad, and then tell them that if you do this, you are getting yourself into a ditch. If you do this, you are going to be successful, and then you let them go on their own. But also come back to them.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I want to come in at the level of, because the responsibility is not just to parents. When she spoke, she made mention that one of the beneficiaries they work with mentioned that the mother is hardly ever home. So this brings us to the school systems. Sex education.
So what should communities be doing, and what should the schools be doing? Let me start with Larissa, since you
Okay, this is what I was just trying to say, that everyone has a role to play, because I remember once we were on a program here, and we had a program with Moke, and we're like, the youths are drifting, who is to be blamed? People keep pointing hands. Parents, yes, parents are the ones who input the foundation. Later on, we have society, we have social media, we have everybody. Whatever thing you input on the internet, you need to make sure it's there to build. And that's why we have our slogan on our page. We say, if what you post does not build, let it not destroy. That's our slogan, because we've understood that it's some one thing, we need to do it together. In schools, why do we go to schools? When we go to schools, we organize conferences, we talk to the teachers. We like, even if the school does not incorporate this into your program, you as a man, a female, a mother, make sure you take out 5 minutes every day to talk to these children. And there is one thing she spoke about, a 6-year-old girl. We have a nasty habit of telling a child, your breast is, your vagina, for example, is your Zizi or Toto. And I'm like, are you serious? Teach children the right names of their parts, please. Because when a child goes out there and a man is touching him, it's like, mommy, my uncle touched this Zizi. You won't get it right. But if the child says, mom, uncle this touched me on my vagina, your head is just going to explode. It rings an alarm. And that's why we see children of 4 years are raped, because they don't even know. They'll be like, Papa, it's crazy. How did it get there? So everyone is involved. And on social media, everyone is involved. Reason why we just launched a campaign too on ambassadors, where we say we are actually having online detectors online. For every negative post you put, there will be somebody to counter it with something positive. We're actually working on it now. Like, we launched the call for ambassadors online, and that is the main aim of it. Anything you post, be it you're criticizing the president, anyone, we don't attack you, we don't insult you, but we communicate. They should be able to come under a post like this, videos online. So what I do personally is I always have my time for search online, and if I see anything negative, I tell people, I educate. That's the little, you think it's small, but a teenager who is on that page, who falls on it, reading all the negative, should be able to pick yours, which is positive.
Okay. Legislation, do we have, I followed a lawyer there, saying that 2 months to 2 years imprisonment, fine of 100,000. What do you think about Ebenezer?
No, I think I would have said that the sanction is too minimal. But let us at least implement what is available now. I think the magnitude of this thing is such that the sanctions need to be harder to dissuade people from carrying on this type of acts. People should feel like, if you commit this act, you pay for it dearly, and once you pay for it, you never want to find yourself in that type of situation again. So legislation should be made to be tougher, and it should be applied very, very vigorously. If not, we'll find ourselves in a situation like when embezzlement started in this country. We're not punishing until we find ourselves where we are today. If we don't hit the hand on the table right now, it's going to go completely orphan. It's already orphan. Orphan.
But there's one issue here. When a child complains that he is having an affair, a man in Europe, a man claiming to be there, a rich man is discussing, there's some parents who think that no, I should have my own wife in the family. And they either encourage the children to go about.
They are hoping that the man who is there abroad would maybe one day send him some money. It's poverty. The bottom line of this is poverty, because he thinks that if his daughter has somebody who's out there, that person may one day send him some money, may one day send him a car, may one day send him money to build a house. So
something. And that's what he says is actually very correct, because it's true there is low economic growth. I don't know, people are facing, that's the situation, but I don't want us to focalize on it as a reason, because if we keep, I always tell people, we keep, it is like that, it is like this. We are trying to build our economy, but what are we going to do? Are we just going to let it? And Saya said he can't speak to his children about this. I understand it's a different generation. That's the fact about it. But parents really have to do it. I tell people, Yim can't go to every school. It's really tough. Like, we go to schools this year, we've attended like organized conferences to like 15 schools, and it's not easy. We need parents at home. As I'm singing it, I come every day, you in the house. Don't be shy, please. I know some parents, how do I talk to my kids about sex? How do I talk to my kids about pornography? But please, that's the price to pay. I know it's not your generation, but all of us, we are in this technology world, and if you don't do it, the internet will help your children experience it.
Yeah, I think. I want to add to what Ebenezer said. I think besides poverty, there is an element of illiteracy. Yeah. Our children grow up to discover it. and even some adults have grown up to discover it. So they don't have. We are very different from the Western world, where there is formal education, and then you grow in the system. You grow, you get to know some of those steps, those processes step by step. But we just get up and we discover. All right, you are in Europe and you send. I'll take your grandmother. Your grandmother in the village, you send her a smartphone and you tell her, Mama, if you want to send me a picture, do this and send it to me. And she sends. She doesn't know anything. The grandmother does that. The grandchild is there in the house. You don't know when the grandchild will discover Facebook. You don't know when the grandchild will start doing those pictures and sending to whoever. So because we lack education, then the problem begins to get amplified. So I think that education in the field of ICTs, and I commend lots of these schools which are already implementing training in information and communication technology.
I understand there are structures in Cameroon that are supposed to bring order into this. How are they functioning?
Exactly. Antique. If you go to Antique, I want to salute the Director General of Antique. If you go to Antique, you will see the installations they have are enormous. They have computers. They have applications that track the use, even for hackers and things like that. They have all of those. So even those who use the internet irregularly, they have records of all of those things. And I would come back to what Ebenezer said. When we track down, we punish, and when we punish, let the public know that we have punished these people. I think it's going to be dissuasive for those who want to get involved.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to comment at the gaps. And I'll start from what he just mentioned about Antique and other structures that are working. Most of these programs exist at national level. At the grassroots, it's lacking, and that's where we have most of the challenges. At the grassroots levels, we don't have computer literacy programs. Now it's included in the educational curriculum. But what of post-educational settings where a woman who is a farmer has 10 kids, they're in school and they're learning computer, they're getting computer trainings, but she does not have if she has to do what we are saying as a parent, she cannot do it. So we need to start doing adult education programs, which means our educational system should not end from primary to university. We should also do adult educational programs that train women at grassroots, parents at grassroots.
Bring back our adult education.
Yes, adult education programs.
Bring it back.
Because we have had challenges where you even meet some of these mothers, they tell you, I cannot help my children when they come back at home because I cannot read and write.
No, yeah.
So I cannot even control what they are consuming. And that's where we have the problems, at the grassroots. And with the way urbanization is running, people are leaving rural communities to urban centers. And when they go there, especially with the crisis, let's bring the crisis into this as well. As they move out as IDPs and learn these new systems without previous exposure, it's wild. Oh, I just came to Limbe from the bushes or from the places and all of that, and you see this technology. Oh, I have a small phone. The first guy you meet sends me nude, and he sends you 10,000, 15,000, and this whole phenomenon of bush falling, in quotes.
Why do you say in quotes?
Why I say in quotes is because it's a way we call it bush falling.
Europe,
yes,
there are some who are here who are in the bush. Because I was asking why I say in quotes. Yeah.
Yes, because we have also grown in communities where traveling abroad is already succeeding, or having a boyfriend abroad is succeeding. Like, because this is also very prominent in university milieux, and most of those who do it in university milieux are doing sex trafficking online prostitution for finances, university students. It's happening. Oh, my boyfriend is in America, and you are the slay girl, you are the most beautiful because you get money, and you do all of these videos. When the relationship gets bad, your nudes are sent out. So it's a very wrong circle. That is, I don't know how to say it, but there's a lot.
It's a vicious cycle.
A very big vicious cycle.
We have barely 6 minutes to be together. I want us to start concluding. I'll start with you, Larissa. Larissa, what should be done to protect the children now?
Okay.
I mean, you have spoken about education, you have spoken about legislation. What else should be done at home?
Okay, at home, what they really need to do is control. I'll quote a very short example. I had the opportunity to travel to Egypt, and I realized something. There are some websites that their government has actually regulated it, like, because it's an Arab country. I don't know if it's because of their religion, they have their kind of culture. And I think if our government could lay more emphasis on that, because honestly, I don't know if they really see what is on Facebook and what is happening. Yes, the people miss out freedom of expression to write. You should know that where your right and mine begins. That is one thing that people don't even know about. You think because you have the right, you can stand up on Facebook and say everything. I think we should really follow up. Like, if you go to Facebook, there are some things you shouldn't even access, even if you search. I don't know if we're getting it. There is a possibility that you can take, like, research nude pictures of maybe this, and they don't give you.
It means that governments can control that.
Yes, they can actually control.
They can do that.
Yes.
If you look at
human rights,
and human rights, there is a possibility. You remember that when there is an uprising in parts of the country, there is the ability of actually cutting internet in those areas.
Yes,
because each section of the country is controlled by a set of numbers which are called the internet protocol address. So all of that is controlled. You can control access to particular sites, and of course even by in terms of sections of the country, that can be done. So you can at home, you can what effectively what parental control is you choose some keywords which should not be used on that equipment.
And it's possible to
it's a new way of governance. It's called network sovereignty.
You guys are advocating for adult illiteracy. I see the
it's very important when it comes to adult to child parental control. You can list those words, and then the algorithms that handle that, which are not seen, which are not in the forefront, they work in the background. They take care of the rest for you. So it's a way of handling the issue.
When I see all what is happening, Edwin, I'm tempted to think that we were not ready for these new information and communication technologies. We're not ripe for it. That is why we are using it very, very badly. We are using it to instead destroy ourselves instead of develop ourselves. But since we are bound to live with it, we have to look for a way to continue living. Yes,
unfortunately, it's worldwide.
Yes, we are bound to live with it. So I think the only thing we can do now is to continue sensitizing our children. Yes, to continue sensitizing our children on the negative effects, the negative use of information and communication.
Please don't forget the positive, because people can get jobs, people can get employment.
You're right.
Don't give it a bad name and hang it. There are also good aspects of it.
We're insisting here. We're talking about nude dressing, sex and tape, online videos that are shared and so on. So next time maybe we'll talk about the positive aspects of it.
Thank you.
What should be a take-home message? When will you, Nelson? Because you're going to give us tips on how to.
So to me, the take-home is morals. We should build back our morals. You know, parents should have dinners together with their children, like before, where families eat together and have conversations like this. We do it at the family level, in schools, in churches, because some of the things happen even in the church milieu. So in the spaces where we think that should not happen, they're happening. So we should start taking these conversations to grassroots, which means those with resources, because she mentioned a key challenge there for all civil societies who are doing the work. We do it solely on our resources, or small grants you get, or donations. But the structures that have the financing are not getting to the grassroots. So the government has to put in place grassroots programs and work with those at the grassroots levels. Those are civil societies, churches, schools, PTAs, and start doing these things from the grassroots, because if we don't do it, then we are looking at a very wrong generation in the next.
Thank you, Nelson. The way they spoke here today, as you were saying,
yes, I think the women just submerged whatever I wanted to say. The women just submerged. They actually just killed what I wanted to say. I started talking about internet protocol addresses and things. They just fell on me like wolves. But that's okay. That's okay. I think that our viewers would understand exactly what that means, because if I want to start talk about internet protocols, would take maybe another program. So what I want to say is that at home, back home, let us educate our children. Let us not only educate them by sending them to school, but when they come back, we can buy tablets, handheld equipment for them, install applications that help them to learn, and tell them that when you go online, this is your limit. Of course, it's not only telling them, it's like it's rather using the parental control element of or aspect of the equipment to make sure that you check and you track what they're doing, track the websites they're visiting, and make sure that you call them to order whenever they're going offhand. I think that's the take-home message that I would like to share here.
And that is where we end today's edition of Press on CRTV. We discussed nude sex videos and understanding the threat to our communities, to our societies, online prostitution, trafficking, and we're discussing on how to save the children who are victims, even in front of us, in our schools and churches, as we're told. Our guests were Emily Mickey, gender activist and child protection officer from Dennis Mickey Foundation. She came in from Limbe. We also had Ate Larissa, founder of Youth Internet Morals, is an NGO that works to encourage young ones on the positive aspects of the internet. Nelson Tawe, information technologist, working with us at CRTV. We also had Benisa Kanga, senior journalist with CRTV, and we missed out on Gala Kinan Chimtom. He was supposed to be here with us. He called to apologize that he was taken by other duties. I am Moki Edwin Kinzikan. Thank you for watching.
Imbattable, ça continue avec MTN Momo. Désormais, achète ton forfait habituel avec Momo et bénéficie immédiatement des bonus d'appel, des gigas et jusqu'à 10 000 francs de transfert cash dans ton compte Momo. Tiens, voici comment ça marche. Tape le code MTN WandaNet ou MTN Plus. Choisis ton forfait. Puis sélectionne l'option Payer avec Momo et reçois une pluie de bonus imbattables sur le réseau indomptable. Everywhere you go.
Allô, ma.
Hey, Francis, Dieu merci. Ton voyage s'est bien passé.
Très bien, merci. Seulement le vol qui était très long. En fait, j'ai déjà envoyé l'argent pour payer les factures là.
Oh, merci mon fils. Comme il est tard, je veux seulement payer demain.
Pourquoi tu te déranges même? Paye une fois par MTN Momo, non?
Oui, mais je dois d'abord retirer l'argent, non?
Ça, c'était avant. Tu peux